Hi everyone, Happy New Year. It is currently the 2nd of January 2026, and basically I'm in a massive turning point in my life where my job's going through restructuring, and I'm thinking I'm going to be taking redundancy to pursue a new career path. That's the plan anyway. Today I was going to sort of talk about how I got to the decision. So what I'm thinking of is taking the redundancy and then in 2026 becoming a self-employed carpenter. For those of you who know me, that's I've not really got any experience in carpentry. So I think the video today is going to try and explain the jobs I've had in my adult life and why I think it's a good decision for me personally to go down this route. So I've had quite a few jobs, so let's see how this goes. So the first job I ever had, I worked for one of my friend's dads, and it started off just every Sunday I would go to their house and I would just help him with the gardening, help him to garden their own garden. They had a lovely garden, but he was a landscape gardener, and he decided to take me on in his business as well. But obviously I was at college and stuff at the time, so I only worked on Sundays for him, and then I worked during school holidays and stuff, so I'd done a lot of summer work and everything with him. So that was where my job started. So a manual job outside using my hands, and I really enjoyed it. The next job I'd done was a window cleaner. Again, this was sort of holiday work. I enjoyed that job, but it didn't end on good terms. So I was new to driving at the time, and I accidentally reversed the van into another car, and I didn't do damage. I didn't do much damage. I just broke the rear brake light. But yeah, the guy went mental, and so I didn't work for them after that. After that happened, which is a shame because I quite enjoyed the job. Next was I was a strimmer operator. So I spent one summer literally just for 8 hours a day, just walking around like parks and cemeteries and stuff with a strimmer. Yeah, that was a pretty chilled out job. It got pretty tiring because strimmers can get heavy. But the biggest issue with that job was we'd done a lot of parks, and you have to strim around all the verges and everything, but you have to strim like close to bushes. And yeah, the biggest issue was kind of strimming dog poo. It only happened to me 2 or 3 times over the summer, but yeah, you basically just get splattered in dog poo every time you hit a piece. So yeah, that was that. And then the last job I'd done before I went to university was I worked for a removals company. So I just signed up to an agency, and I'd done removals just for a couple of weeks. Removals is the most physical job I've ever done in my life. Like, I remember after the first couple of days, my arms, I just couldn't carry anything anymore. Like, my forearms were just absolutely burning. But again, another physical manual job. So all of my jobs so far have been physical manual jobs, where you sort of just have to get stuck in. I then went off to university. I studied photography. And I think it's probably worth saying I also took up dodgeball at this point during university. And by the time I left university, I was playing dodgeball internationally. Unfortunately, dodgeball is not a paid sport. So it was taking up a lot of my time, but I wasn't getting paid for it. But it's probably the thing that I've been best at in my life, which kind of sucks, but kind of good at the same time. So after university, I had to get a job. Obviously, because I'm now a university qualified student, getting a well-paid job was almost impossible. So I went to Samsung and I became a phone specialist, which sounds kind of cool, but basically I stood in phone shops and I told people about the new phone, the new Samsung phone, which was fine. I didn't do it for very long. I was based in an EE shop, and in the end, EE actually decided to hire me as a phone salesman. So I transitioned into a phone salesman at that point. I did not really like it. It's a very heavily commission-based job. And yeah, you get incentivized to sell people stuff that they can't really afford. So obviously, yeah, it just didn't sit well with me, sort of selling people stuff they couldn't afford for my own personal gain. I was there for 6 months or so. I didn't get my commission once because I was selling people phones they could afford, basically. But hey, I'm proud of that. But yeah, it wasn't great for my bank balance. Right, after that, I became a trampoline lifeguard. So because of dodgeball, I'd been to America and I'd played in trampoline dodgeball tournaments. And at the time, there were no trampoline parks in the UK. But luckily, my parents lived next to, well, they lived sort of within half an hour of the first ever trampoline park to open in the UK. So I was excited by that, and I decided to get a job there. So I worked for the first ever trampoline park in the UK, and I was there as they opened. But yeah, I was just a trampoline lifeguard, so I was one of the guys that just stood on the side of the trampolines and made sure people were bouncing safely. After that, I went to work for a different trampoline park, but I worked as a marketing supervisor. So I kind of sold myself on the fact that I'd got a photography degree. And at uni, I'd kind of learnt to build websites, and I'd kind of learnt some of the business side of photography as well, which I think suited quite well to marketing. But they bought it, and I became a marketing supervisor for them. And that went well. I was doing quite good. I kind of set up a few products for the trampoline park, and I did a bit of strategy and stuff, but I didn't have a massive say in it. So yeah, I was working underneath someone that I didn't get on with too well, but in the end, she managed to get me. So she worked in London, I worked in Stratford, and basically she said she needs people in London to be in her marketing team. So my job got made redundant, which I thought was a mistake because I personally thought I was good at that job. But then I found out after I left, 2 months later, she got put on gardening leave, and I think it all fell apart. So that's cool. I'm glad I sort of had a good judgment on that I wasn't actually doing bad. I was just under bad management. But anyway, I did that for, I'd done that for 2 years or so, I think. And then I moved on after I got made redundant. I became a marketing manager for a local mortgage brokers. Yeah, this again, so one of my friends that I was playing football with at the time, he said, "Oh, my company is looking for a marketing manager." So I was like, "Okay, cool, I'll go for that." I got the job. I'd done that again for a little while. But yeah, for them, I was basically setting up like, I was building loads of websites for them, channeling, and the websites were capturing, what do you call it? Capturing leads for specific mortgage needs. So I was setting up, for example, like a commercial website for anyone looking for commercial mortgages, buy-to-let website for buy-to-let mortgages. Yeah, I was setting up loads of websites and I was channeling leads into the business from there for the mortgage brokers to then contact the leads. That was going really well. But then I decided after a while that I wanted something new. I'll explain in a second. So then I got my third marketing job. At this point, this is kind of what a career kind of looks like. And I was kind of, I was kind of developing a career at this point, but I was having questions of what my career choices were. I didn't really enjoy the marketing that much. The more I learned about marketing, the more it became clear that marketing is basically manipulation. And again, you're just trying to get people to spend money that they potentially don't have, or spend more money that they don't need to spend. And in the end, it wasn't for me, marketing. I worked for a third company. I worked for a recruitment company. I had a really good manager. I had a good young team, sort of people in the office. I got on really well with everyone. But after 3 or 4 months, I was just like, I still didn't enjoy it, even though I had all of this stuff around me to be able to enjoy it. So I just quit. So I went in on a Tuesday and I came home and I said to my partner, I had a meeting with my manager today and I decided to quit. And my last day is Thursday. So yeah, I quit that job and then I finished on the Thursday. At that point, I decided to have a go at setting up something for myself. So I did a bit of wedding photography, which was good. Unfortunately, I didn't have the money to buy like good equipment. So the way wedding photography works especially is if you have good equipment, you'll create good photos most of the time. Yes, you need a bit of an eye and you need a bit of a technique and you need to be able to organize people. But in general, if you've got a good camera, you're not going to go far wrong. But I couldn't afford a good camera. So my wedding photography was decent, but I always felt like I wasn't quite at the right level to charge what I needed to charge to make a living out of it. I then became a dodgeball coach, so I was still playing dodgeball internationally at this point. I'd also been a part of setting up Leamington Spartans Dodgeball Club, which is now the biggest club in the UK and the most successful club in the UK. So that was cool. Obviously, it took up a bit of time, but it wasn't me alone. There was 4 or 5 of us that set it up. And then we had a committee that took it forwards as well. So I played my part, but I didn't do all of it. But yeah, I was playing dodgeball a lot. I decided to become a dodgeball coach for kids. So I went to a networking class and I met this lady, Dorothea, who ran a home ed sort of session. And I started running dodgeball classes for home ed children as kind of like their PE lessons, and that I absolutely loved it. It was going so well. I'd gone into a few local schools and I'd booked sort of like tournament days for them, and that was good money, like decent money compared to what I was earning. Yeah, the dodgeball was going really, really well. I had 4 or 5 sessions set up within the first few months, like on a weekly basis, and I was getting 15 to 20 kids to each of them sessions. And then I'd started booking the schools in, and it was all going so well. And I was like, yes, I finally found a career that I like, and I'm going to make enough money to live on. And then, COVID happened. So I had to pause. I put a pause on the dodgeball coaching, which sucked. I tried to survive 6 to 8 months, I think it was, without any income. I obviously didn't get furlough payment. So it was a bad time to quit my marketing job. But hey, these things happen. You have to take a punt sometimes. This time it didn't work off. It didn't pay off for me. COVID happened. During COVID, I also had my first baby. I had my first boy. But yeah, I was trying to wait until I was trying to wait out COVID, and then go back to the dodgeball coaching, but it didn't pan out that way, and I needed to get some money. So I signed up to an agency, and I'd done quite a lot of factory work sort of towards the end of COVID. So I worked at a box factory. This was just yeah, lots of machinery, lots of noise, lots of people, and basically I was loading cardboard boxes onto machines to get printed on, and probably my only other job was cutting out the right shapes of cardboard boxes and stuff. So yeah, I kind of, during this phase, I got really into podcasts and stuff because I needed something to think about whilst doing these jobs. So I did box factory, then I went to a pallet scraping factory, which was the worst job I've ever had in my life. And I actually hit rock bottom at this job. So the job was yeah, a big shelf of pallets, basically the little floor tiles. They're 20 kilos. They're big metal things. They're about a pizza box size. And you just have to pick the top one off, put it on your tray. You got like a metal scraper. You scrape off the glue from it. You put it on the tray the other side, and you do that for like 8 hours in a dark factory that smells of chemicals. But yeah, there was one day where I was doing this, and on my podcast I was learning about portaloos and how portaloos work. So I was literally scraping crap off of these pallets, and then I was also listening to how like crap gets digested in portaloos, and I was like, okay, this is something needs to change here. So I never went back to that job after that day. I'd only done it for 2 weeks. I was like, nah, this is not good. I'm not doing this. So then I got a job at a balloon factory. So it was funny, actually. It was a nice little circle because the balloon factory's cardboard boxes got supplied by the box factory that I used to work at. So I was like, oh, I know where these boxes come from. So then at the balloon factory, I had to make the cardboard boxes and then fill them with balloons based on the orders that came in. Yeah, so that was that job, and then I became postman for a little bit. Yeah, I became a postman. This was mainly like winter cover. So I was just in the sorting office, sorting out all the Christmas cards and stuff. And then I went on a couple of, I don't know what you call them, a couple of rounds, I guess, where I went out and posted the letters. So yeah, that was kind of like my jobs that I had. But then alongside those jobs, I had side hustles. So I was a website coder during my sort of mortgage broker marketing time, where I built a few websites for people. During COVID, my uncle helped me out. He'd just set up a business where he trains companies about the kind of the misuse of drugs and alcohol. So I learned a program called Moodle, and I was building training courses for him. That was really interesting, a good lot of skill, and my uncle was actually probably one of the best managers I've ever had. After that, I set up another dodgeball company, but this time I was selling merchandise. So I was selling like custom dodgeballs and court markings and that sort of stuff. I was doing that with a mate. Unfortunately, my life was just so busy at the time, I couldn't put in as much as I wanted to into that, and it wasn't fair on my mate, so I dropped out. I let him carry on his own because I could tell he was getting frustrated, that I couldn't quite commit to it as much as I wanted to. I was also the England head coach for dodgeball. But anyway, my most recent job has been a gardener, and this is the job that I've stuck at for the longest. I've stuck at it for 5 years. The last 5 years I've been a gardener. I had one kid in that time. I tried doing the House of Dodgeball stuff. I was an international dodgeball player, and I was the England coach, and I was still playing for Spartans and stuff at the time. So my life was crazy, but my job was lovely. Unfortunately, it was like pretty much minimum wage. So for the last 5 years, I've been on just over minimum wage. But the job's been lovely. My boss has been great. My team have been lovely. And I've actually enjoyed it. But I've now had my second kid. The university's going through some troubles at the moment as well, so it feels like a good time to get out. And yeah, so I've also had, let me see here. So that I've come to the end of my jobs. And then, so I set up Spartans, I've had 2 kids. In that time, I've also moved house 3 times, and I've done a lot of the DIY and doing up at the house myself. Last year, I had a hip replacement, and this year, I'm currently recovering. I'm still on crutches. 6 weeks ago, I had a surgery to replace my meniscus in my knee, and they've also straightened my legs so that I've got a broken leg at the moment, which is kind of why I've got the time to rethink my life. But that brings us to the end of that. So, as I said earlier, my gardening job, they're going through restructure. When I left to have my operation, I thought my job was safe. About 2 or 3 days after I left to have my operation, they announced they were making cuts. It turns out my team's getting cut down by a couple of people. And then they're interviewing next week, I think, for the job positions. So yeah, that's fun. So yeah, I've obviously had a lot of time to think about what I want to do. And I'm thinking in 2026, I'm going to become a carpenter, because I've looked on YouTube, as all good researchers do, and I've seen they make a decent day wage. Carpentry is, I've not done it officially, but I've done quite a lot of DIY in the house. I've laid floors, done skirting boards. At work, I've built some like wooden planters and stuff. So I think I got some skills there. They need polishing and dusting off and everything. I've obviously got creative skills from my photography and everything. And I like to think I've got quite a lot of entrepreneurial skills. So yeah, we'll see where it goes. Knowing me, I could end up as like a pilot or something. But yeah, if you want to follow my journey, I'm going to try and I'm just going to try and document this next year of my life, because I think it could be quite interesting what happens. If you want to follow along, obviously like and subscribe and stay up to date. If you like carpentry, what I'm going to try and do is, as I'm going through the processes of setting up as a self-employed carpenter, I'm going to go through the stages of getting my first clients, kind of learning the trade, all of that sort of stuff. But I'm going to try and document it at the same time. So if you're if you are a carpenter, please follow me and please give me tips. If you're not a carpenter, and you just fancy laughing at me, again, just follow, add your comments, whatever you want, and we'll see where this ends up. Anyway, thanks for your time. That's kind of my background. That's a little bit about me. I don't know how long. How long did this go on for? 24 minutes. Whew. Okay, well, sorry this was on a bit long. I'll try and add timestamps so that you can skip through the bits that you don't want to hear about. But yeah, this is kind of my intro video. It's kind of a little bit to keep myself switched on as well, and kind of keep myself focused on what I want to do. Let's see what happens. Have a good year, everyone, and yeah, I'll see you hopefully in a couple of days for the next video. Bye.